Tax time doesn't have to be stressful. You want to know what it feels like to be stress-free? Call the professionals at SJC Financial Solutions. We can provide you with professional and experienced staff, electronic filing, individual and business tax returns. We provide bookkeeping, payroll, IRS collection representation. You can reach us at 800-542-1393, or you can log on to www.yourtaxremedy.com. That is yourtaxremedy.com. We are an authorized e-file provider, and we are IRS enrolled agents. Again, tax time doesn't have to be stressful. Know what it's like to be stress-free. Call SJC Financial Solutions. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount.
Welcome back to the show, folks. I am The Ruthless Wonder, not A Ruthless Wonder, and you are, of course, listening to the live hour of The Wrath of Ruthless. I did say it would be back. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the, of course, earlier preview of the return of the show. Of course, this is now time for me to turn things on and turn things up and get back to the thing we do here. Unfortunately, your Ruthless Wonder is under the weather this week. As you can probably tell from my voice, I sound like crap for a really good reason. Let's just say between a leg injury and a cold, I'm not feeling too hot right now. And apparently I can tank my way through cold medicine that's supposed to knock me out, because I definitely took some cold medicine that should knock me out, and I am wide awake doing the show right now. Just on the off chance that I sleep through Saturday again for some reason. Anyway, I want to get us into the show. I want to give you some quick announcements and whatnot. We're going to get to one very fast ad, and then we'll get into the proper topics for today. We're going to talk about, in the live hour this week, we're also going to do Give No Quarter and a couple more announcements about things that are upcoming, including some interviews that I'm sure you guys will be interested in. So before we get to that, you're going to hear from me talking to a good friend of mine, does some very cool paracord bracelets. You guys will be able to check those out. And like I said, you'll be able to see, some photos from that as well in the actual YouTube version of this. If you're on SoundCloud, we'll put a link in the description to go check out his paracord bracelets. After that, I'll be right back. See you on the other side. Hey folks, welcome back to the Wrath of Ruthless. I am joined here briefly by a very interesting new friend, we'll put it that way. How about that? But as you know, I like to bring on folks from time to time to talk about the interesting stuff they're doing. And this time, I'm bringing on somebody who sent me a very cool replacement for, let's say a bracelet that I've been wearing for quite some time. But I'm gonna have him tell you more about it. Here first. So, Don, you there?
Yes, I am.
How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How's it going?
Going pretty good. So tell us first what it is that you make for folks and sell on Etsy.
Well, what it is, it's different paracord accessories. For those that may not be familiar with paracord, it's a military grade parachute cord that they actually use in the military for their parachutes. And the thing about it is, it's a very versatile fabric. It's light, it's strong, it's durable, it's functional, and it's also fashionable. And I'm sure you can attest to that.
Of course. So tell us how you kind of got into it. Of course, a little bit about yourself as well.
Well, I I grew up in New Orleans. Lived in Baton Rouge for a while. I live in the Houston area in Texas. About a year and a half ago, uh, it's kind of weird. I started getting these. I don't know if you've heard of like Loot Crate and Geek Fuel and all those different like loot boxes.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, well, I had a subscription, and every month there's a theme, and the theme was espionage, and I got all these spy related things, and one of the things in it was a paracord bracelet, and I'm thinking to myself, man, what is this? Why is there a bracelet, in my box? You know, so I looked at it and I started doing a little research. They had a little YouTube video of how versatile it actually is, and they kind of went into the different uses for it. So I watched the video. They kind of demonstrated how to make them as well as the different uses. Let's say you're somewhere and you need shoelaces. You can undo your bracelet if need be and tie your shoelaces. Or if you're somewhere where you need to, let's say you have to tie a tourniquet or um do something to where, let's say you're out in the wilderness, and this is where the versatile part comes in. If you're in the wilderness and uh, you have to like pitch a tent, but you don't have any string to pitch the tent, you can use the paracord to pitch a tent. So
So
I
it's
mean,
extremely versatile what it can be used for.
absolutely.
Now, obviously, mine is very near and dear to my heart. It's got my glorious Chiefs on there.
Yeah.
But uh, do you make them for particular special occasions? Are there any limits as to what people can buy for?
Um, I make them for a lot of different things. The good thing about it is, like I said, it's very versatile. You can fashion it into a bracelet if you want, a keychain, a lanyard. You can do it for your favorite team, your school, your profession, something you're proud of, like a milestone. I mean, if you have something you want to show to other people and kind of carry it around as something dear to you that you would like to share with others as well, it's absolutely something that you can get and I can custom make for you. I mean, anything you can pretty much think of as far as a theme or a character or your sorority or fraternity, an event, anything like that, I can custom make for you and have that image for you on this bracelet or keychain or a dog collar, dog leash, belts, watch bands. If your watch band breaks, I can make a new watch band. Literally anything you can think of, we can make for you.
Now, see, that's the one that I'm probably going to end up needing as well here in the future. I am super bad on watch bands, man. It's
Hmm.
horrible.
Yeah,
I think I've replaced. I have this one watch that I kind of got popular. I have a old school big face watch, so
yeah.
and I have busted so many watch bands on it because if it
Mhm.
moves around too much, those things will snap off pretty
Yeah,
fast.
wear and tear.
Yeah, yeah. So I love it. Of course, now folks are watching the show. They're seeing the photos of my bracelet
Hmm.
that I got, of course, on the screen right now.
Hmm.
So what's the easiest way to get a hold of you and know when you're producing some or how to make a custom order?
The easiest thing to do is go right to my Etsy page. It's practicalparacords.etsy.com. Once again, it's practicalparacords.etsy.com. You can go on there, see everything I have. And if you want to have something custom made, you just click the little contact button right under my name and my happy little picture. And you can talk directly to me and we can get together anything you would like to have. And also, if you would also like to look at just some pictures of what I have, you can go on Instagram, type hashtag practical paracords. All my stuff will pop up on there. That's the easiest way to do it. Or you can go on Facebook at Practical Paracords.
Well, it's really straightforward to get a hold of you. Um, just for folks that aren't on the website right now, or maybe you're listening to our audio version, What's the general cost in picking up a piece?
Well, it varies. If you're looking at something like a keychain, it's right around $6.50. If you're looking for something more of like a personalized bracelet, it's right around 13 bucks, depending on what you get. If you want further customization, it may be a little more. If you want something a little bit more simpler, it'll be a little bit less, but roughly around $13.
And as far as shipping, gift boxes, stuff like that, can that all be discussed whenever you guys get a hold of, whenever people get a hold of you over the Etsy page?
Yeah, absolutely. For the most part, it's going to be your standard first class U.S. Postal Service shipping. But like I said, I can always make a special accommodation depending on what it is you want. So anything is up in the air as far as what you want and what we can discuss.
Well, great. So I guess the last question is: are there any particular special ones coming up that you're willing to share with us, or anything else you want to let folks know about?
I do want to bring up just two things real quick. One, um, I forgot to mention as far as things that may be something you would like. Um, there's also I also offer a bottle opener that you can clip onto your belt. I know a lot of people out there like to tailgate, so that's makes it very convenient for you to tailgate. You got your beer, you can pop it right open. You don't have to look for a bottle opener. Or if it's too cold to pop your can open, you can use the back of the bottle opener to pop your can open. Um, and last but not
There you
least,
go.
like I said, if you want to check it out, go right to practicalparacords.etsy.com, or you can find all my photos on Instagram. Just type in hashtag practical paracords, or you can find me on Facebook at practical paracords.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Don. We got to make sure folks get out to get your stuff on the Etsy. Remember, folks, Practical Paracords on Etsy. Check out the photos on Instagram and of course on Facebook as well. Uh, until next time, I am the Ruthless Wonder, not A Ruthless Wonder, and we hope you check out our good friend and friend of the show. Take care,
I
guys. Talk to you
appreciate it.
next time.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, no problem.
Give no quarter. Give no quarter. Give no quarter. Give no quarter.
It's crazy how this thing goes, right? I'm back. Solo, dolo, all that good stuff. But we have a crazy situation. This country, if you haven't noticed, is being run by a madman. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Trump, but I'm not going to spend this give no quarter on Donald Trump. I'm going to spend this give no quarter on doing something about Donald Trump. Now, you might be saying, wasn't that the same thing? No, it isn't. And here's why. I have listened to, indeed, the alt-right, alt-facts crowd. I have listened to the violence never solves anything liberals. I have listened to the secret conservatives masking themselves as defenders of freedom. I have listened to it all. Uh, Forgetting you all's personal Facebook feeds, because everybody has at least one of those friends. My Facebook, I I'll be honest with you. I have two Facebook accounts specifically to make sure that I can keep the folks that I don't really want to listen to in one group and the folks that I really just want to observe in another. What do I mean? Well, there's a group of people who need to see my professional face. If a company is searching for me to hire me for some work, if family need to connect with me, there is a page specifically for Your Ruthless Wonder that is entirely scrubbed of anything else. I talk about, the situation with my brother. Uh, Quick update. He has received his transplant. He has a new heart. He is currently recovering in the hospital, but he will be home soon enough. So I want to thank everybody who, of course, like I said, who contributed there. But this isn't about him. He has access to both of my Facebook pages. So if he's listening right now, and there's a possibility that Big Bro is, shout out to you, um, he knows that there is one me, and then there's the other me. Other me doesn't talk often, and other me doesn't have anything on it most of the time. I put important major events over there. I put, photos and updates and whatnot from time to time, and I pretty much send the family that direction. In fact, I've been slowly migrating all of them over there. And that's for good reason. Most of my family does not need to know what I'm up to. But the ones that I think are, able to get it, they stay. The rest of them, I'm just migrating them over. Soon they'll all be over there. And, it'll be what it is. Except for my cousins, of course, like Smooth Fusion, who provided us the theme for Words Don't Do It Justice. And, of course, my cousin Cy, shout out to Simon Says himself. And, of course, my cousin Bruce, his dad, for doing the Give No Quarter theme. I know y'all love it. But I've segregated them over there for a reason. It isn't because I want an echo chamber. In fact, it's because on my main Facebook page, and some of you might be in the same situation, on that main page, I have a lot of people who I want to see them interact with each other. I post things that I don't necessarily agree with for the purposes of starting a discussion, seeing what people are going to say about it. Sometimes it's fuel for this show, and people are aware of that. So sometimes they don't talk about things on that page, and that's fine. Now, if you want to disengage, that's up to you. I'm not making you engage in these conversations. But sometimes, and in fact most of the time, I'm putting this stuff out there to see people's response. Sometimes I'm putting them out there because it's my personal opinion, and the show's on a break, or it's not something that's a full show worthy. For instance, today, as this video's as this audio is going up and the video is going on YouTube, there was a video I posted that was just about Mr. Rogers talking to Congress during the Nixon administration when Nixon wanted to cut the PBS budget in half from 20 million to 10 million. And he doesn't give some crazed, over-the-top, insult-laden speech. He doesn't call everyone fascist. He doesn't do anything angry. What he says is simply, I'm doing this to help children keep their mental health high. I'm doing this to improve the average person's lot in life, as it were. I'm trying to help children. I've been doing so for 15 years. And the way things are set up, this money from the government helps us reach more and more children to help them healthily to handle their feelings. And it's persuasive. I dare you to go watch it if you're a friend with me on Facebook. I may even put a link to the video somewhere as well for you to check out. But that, of course, brings us to the discussions of government. Now, you're going to expect me to say all kinds of evil about Donald Trump. Instead, what I'm going to do here is actually talk to you about something interesting that's come out recently. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you've already noticed that the article that I just put in there as we got to the discussion of the president, and you're wondering what in the world is going on. He's already sick of the job? Yes, it was reported from numerous White House leaks, and I gotta tell you, following White House leakers is become a new pastime of mine on social media. These leaks happen, and then these accounts are swiftly gotten rid of. Either staffers are moved to other positions or fired, and someone new takes up the mantle. It is a weird superhero-like fashion. This is the, if I were to borrow some wrestling, this is literally like having the different masks changed over in the classic Mexican Lucha Libre wrestling. Like, we are at a White House leak mask W at this point. But following the different leakers has been important to kind of keep up with what's going on. One of the major things that they've leaked is that he apparently has become increasingly annoyed with the governance portion of the job. Now, That's particularly interesting for a lot of reasons. But the one that was interesting for me is this idea that he is not just signing stuff without knowing what he's signing, making executive orders for things that are not really executive order worthy. You might have heard recently that he made an executive order to prioritize repealing Obamacare. Now, that's not really something you need an executive order for. The president can choose the agenda in any fashion. That's really more of a he's making this to make a statement sort of situation. But the other thing that seems to be coming up a lot is him not knowing what terms mean. For instance, civil asset forfeiture is a legal junky hot topic. How it kind of has been for the last 5 or 10 years. I'll at least call, you know what? I'll call it 7 years ago, all the way back to when I was in law school. Civil asset forfeiture is where the government, particularly police, will seize a person's particular asset for the purposes of an investigation into something. And instead of bringing charges against the person, they then bring the charges against the actual item, saying that the item itself is particularly for this illicit purpose, this illegal purpose, and thus may be held. It's one of the ways that you're able to get things like homes, vehicles, other items that are involved in investigations. Originally, it came up as a way to get the assets of drug dealers and other organized crime members, and to then get those things, removing them from their quote arsenal, if you will, to continue making the case for putting the person themselves behind bars. It has then expanded and gone after people who are not necessarily doing anything illegal, but just are in weird circumstances. For instance, one of the weird things that happens fairly often is bundles of cash. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're thinking millions of dollars. You're thinking tens of thousands of dollars. Not so. In fact, there was a gentleman who, very oddly, was getting on a plane. Got on a plane, flew across country to purchase a vehicle. Now he got the money to purchase the vehicle from his father. And I was just thinking, well, that's like $20,000. No, this was a $3,000 purchase. Now, not everybody trusts banks. Also, not everybody will accept bank drafts and other forms of tender. Some people want money so they can know that you're not forging something. And this young man had received $3,000 from his father to fly to Los Angeles, well, and a ticket to Los Angeles, flew to Los Angeles to purchase the car that he was then going to drive back across country. He was going to make a whole big deal of it. It was going to be a big thing. So, this young man went to make that purchase. He got off the plane, and the police noticed, well, had been alerted that there was a large amount of money in his inspected luggage. He was arrested, and the $3,000 was confiscated. And the police department said they believed that his money was being used for a drug purchase. Now, that is a problem, because what they did was they brought the case against the money, not him, and thus began the civil asset forfeiture procedure. Trump doesn't know what civil asset forfeiture is, but did approve it to be used by all police departments and government agencies. In fact, it is apparently one of the big things that he was frustrated about recently in these leaks that we've talked about of Trump being angry about not knowing what stuff is and being basically asked to sign stuff without being told what it is. You might say, that doesn't sound very presidential. Matt, you're making that up. Actually, I'm not going to give you links to those articles in this particular podcast, but I will tell you that there are multiple locations where you can get that. Raw story, Huffington Post has covered it. Funnily enough, those same weird, ridiculous, clickbait article places have kind of added to the interesting nature of this presidency. BuzzFeed has covered some of these different pieces. But anyway, you can check out the civil asset forfeiture situation. You can check out what the actual government policy is and why it's a problem in a number of places. Google is your friend. Do your Googles. I'm not here to Google for you. Um, I will say I'm not here to educate you, but in some cases I am. That is sometimes what I do here. So I want to get to Trump and his situation. You see, it seems that he is having the major misstep with the job. Um, One of the things that uh, is difficult and what usually eliminates a lot of people from running for president is that they are, in fact, afraid of the office. They are afraid of actually running the country. And that's because it's really damn difficult. This is not an easy job. You wake up sometimes as early as 4 in the morning, going to bed as late as midnight, getting a number of briefings throughout the day, having to make decisions that control the very direction of the country all day long, with very little time to yourself, very little time to calm down, very little time to do anything. Uh, Now, you may have already heard, of course, in addition, that Trump's wife staying in Trump Tower uh, costs about $13 million a month to do security for her and to keep her safe there. Uh, yeah, yeah, that's true. That's apparently what's going on right now. We spend about $13 million. And I say we because if you pay taxes, you're paying for this shit. We spend about $13 million a month to take care of Melania Trump. And if we just used the money to pay to pay for the monthly cost of her security, okay? Now, you can do this math following along with me. That's 13 million times 12 months a year times 4 years. That is $624 million. $624 million. Just in her security. Just in her security. For that money, we could literally solve most of the poverty problem in this country. And not just by giving people money, but by funding the programs that help people, that help those underneath the poverty line. We can literally help them by just doing this. Just by her being in the White House and not being in Trump Tower. We're not even going to add to the fact that there's actually more than $13 million a month being spent for that security because there is an additional cost that's hidden in all this, and that's the cyber level security and general government monitoring that goes on beyond the Secret Service. That's just the Secret Service bill. $13 million the Secret Service bill alone, just to secure the tower, secure her personal residence in the tower, secure it and when he's visiting and when he's not there, securing it when the kids are there. That's just base level Secret Service security, $13 million a month. So, I hope you enjoy your president. I did call it because you people are idiots. Not all of you people are idiots, but the people that voted for Trump are definitely stupid. And I'm sure you're saying, but Matt, you don't call people stupid. Of course I call people stupid. We're calling people stupid today for a good reason. Because Donald Trump should never have been president. Now, I did want to talk a little bit about something else that's going on. So we're going to throw a quick, fast, half a break in here real quick in a couple seconds. And then we'll be back right here on the Wrath of Ruthless. And you, of course, are inside Give No Quarter with our Saturday hour.
Give no quarter. Give no quarter. Give no quarter. Give no quarter.
I want to talk to you about justice. It is a quintessential American idea. The American idea of justice is different than it has been at different times throughout human civilized society. The concept of justice as it is practiced in America has shifted over time. Great men and women throughout our history have redefined what justice meant, and for good reason. This country began by saying justice is freedom, that the yoke of a king is in fact not justice, and men are not free. But those men were flawed because they owned slaves and they participated in the buying, selling, and capturing of slaves for their economic benefit. And then justice said that all are free. And this country fought itself. It warred with each other, brother against brother, because no one should be forced to work for someone else and not have their own chance at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then justice demanded that all be given the right to vote, man and woman. And this country created another amendment to say, we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, would guarantee all the right to vote. And then this country shifted again, and justice again demanded more of America. It said, we must not only say in platitudes and declarations, but we must say with the grit of our hands, we must say with the blood of our bodies, we must cry out and give all rights, not just in word, but in deed. And civil rights moved this nation towards justice. And now justice demands even more. Even more. The last full measure of your devotion. It says money does not make you more apt for justice. It says cash is not king over your life. Justice demands more of us. I was moved a few weeks ago when I watched for the first time a video from the Young Turks and later from Secular Talk and the Dan Packman Show, excuse me. I was moved. Not quite to tears, but close. As they talked about American excellence, as they talked about American exceptionalism, this idea that we can be better than the entire world because this country is not built on the idea of geocentric homogeny. That America can be greater than every country in the world because we choose to make the experiment of democracy work. And they said we'd lost our way. And I found myself in that moment agreeing with them. I found myself in that moment wondering what was the through line? What made me suddenly agree with something that shouldn't be my thing? We've talked before on the show. I have talked with guests. I have talked personally to you, the audience. I have talked ad nauseum in comments and commentary elsewhere where I've appeared as a guest or just in conversations with you that I do not believe that every person should be in charge of governing the entirety of our nation. that I am, in fact, what one could call a neo-feudalist, if that were such a term, because I do believe that governance should have better structure than what democracy offers. That communism and socialism don't account for basic human greed and avarice. That there is a better path that requires us to do things in a hybrid fashion, different than what came before and different than what exists now. But I found myself in the moment of those videos moved. And I'll tell you why. Because I realized to get to where I went, to get to the philosophy I espouse to, I had to go past what they were talking about. This nation has grown exponentially in influence and action. You are often told that we outspend the next highest 7 armies, that means all armed forces, in the world combined. The gap between our education and the number 1 is 23 slots. And yet people still see this country as a shining city on a hill, as a land of opportunity. And as someone who benefits from America's unique perspective, who understands America's unique great flaws, and as someone who is aware of its hypocrisies, I say to you this: if it is all about the idea, if it is all about your method being more correct than my method, if that's what really makes America, then shouldn't we be governed by people who put their ideas in the marketplace, who put their ideas to the people and saw who chose what? I didn't fall in love with Justice Democrats because I believe in democracy. Far from it. I fell in love with Justice Democrats because I found it to actually be just. If my idea of America is incorrect, certainly I should be willing to fight for it to be correct, for it to be chosen, against someone who believes their idea of America to be correct. I say this. I have said before there's an open challenge to anyone who is on the, quote, opposing side of my viewpoints on any subject. That means if the feminists want to come, bring them. You can say, well, Matt, you had Brittany as a co-host. She's a feminist. Yes, but Brittany also has things that she clearly agreed with me on. We didn't have as much that we were disparate on as most folks. So I say to you, other feminists, come and debate me. Since you believe I disagree with you. Since you send me emails calling me a misogynist and a hate monger. If you feel so strongly about me, come place your ideas before the people. And just as I am respectful with everyone who comes on, I will respectfully disagree with you in a debating fashion. I dare you. I double dog dare you. But I say the same to conservatives and liberals. Because I don't believe that either of your mentalities are making this country better. I believe that your style of politics has irreparably harmed the exceptional nature of this country. And I believe that justice is progressive. What's the difference? Justice is progressive. Not progressives are justice. Not progressives are always just, but justice itself is a progressive notion for human society. Because, and roll with me here, justice demands more of you as you go forward. Because justice will not allow you to go back and take from the people. Therefore, justice itself is always a progressive idea. Justice demanding more of humanity is where the idea of Justice Democrats came from. That politicians who should be foremost concerned with governing this nation, who should be foremost concerned with representing the people, who should be foremost concerned with putting forward the ideas of the ideology that they espouse to. That their political notion should be built on the idea of what they want. That a Democrat or liberal should want a Democrat or liberal agenda, not burdened by the need to raise money, not burdened by the need to serve a corporate interest. Believe me when I say, I don't believe corporations are people. I believe they are filled with people. And I don't care what a person who owns a company or runs a company does with their personal influence. I'm not some radical saying, well, how dare these men with money not espouse their opinion. No, I'm with Justice Democrats because I don't believe they should be able to use their money to have more influence than you. That suddenly their billion-dollar check they can cut to a fairly disreputable political action committee or super PAC should allow them to have more influence over the way things work. That the notion of money as speech is destructive to the very idea of society. Because if money is speech, then money is not just power, but money is law. And when money becomes the law, the people suffer. I don't come to this notion lightly. And I don't come to you lightly. Recently, I was watching a video of a Korean man interviewing other Koreans in Korea, South Korea. He was interviewing them about their opinions of black people inside Korea and of black people in America. And it was interesting to watch because he was only interviewing younger people. No one in that entire video looked over 40. In fact, most of them looked in to be their mid to early 20s. And it was over the course of the video that it reminded me that homogenized national groups, that means countries that are full of one particular ethnic group, have a different version of the same problem we have in America. In America, you pick your team. If you are Pepsi, you roll with the Republicans. If you are Coke, you roll with the Democrats. And despite the fact that these two groups have flipped in ideologies since the Southern strategy of the 1960s, we'll leave that for another discussion on another day. Despite that fact, once you've picked that squad, the other side is put into that them category. If you recall back on Words Don't Do It Justice, which may have some interesting news coming up soon, You recall back then we talked about the psychological effect of the brain and its ability to hold on to and keep track of people. And in fact, the average person can only keep track of 150 people at any given time. Meaning that once you are outside of that 150 that the person has at some subconscious and conscious level decided to keep track of, you are then just another person in the ether. Now, there are people who do a little bit more than 150. There are people who do less than 150. But generally speaking, you stay in that group. Uh, it was once reminded to me that uh, the pastor, the founding pastor of my church that I grew up in, always had the ability to seem to know everything about every person who went to the church, every person in the congregation. Seemed that when he greeted them, he knew something about them, could remember something enough to have a personal conversation every time he talked to them. I can remember my parents talking about that. And that's a special skill. He's an outlier. Was an outlier, excuse me. He's passed on, rest in peace. And that's a skill. That's not something everybody can do. And in America, we have decided that once you're outside of our 150, now that 150 could be that you are outside of the group that we put in that 150. For instance, if you're a Raiders fan, I'm a Chiefs fan. We aren't in each other's 150 unless we're friends otherwise. Once you're outside of that, you become an easy target for us-them tactics. I'm not saying us-them tactics are bad. I'm saying that politically they should not be influenced by who has the most money, because that does not ensure that the country itself is governed in the best way possible. Instead, I submit to you that the way to fix everything in this country is instead to go with the notion that we can govern ourselves better if we get a chance to judge everyone's ideas. And I am so into this notion that I have pledged myself to be involved with Justice Democrats. I am so into this notion that despite the fact that I know political strategists, that I know campaign managers, that I know multiple people in all parties, I know Green Party members, I know former Green Party candidates, I know current Republican office holders, I know current Democratic strategists. Despite the fact that I am well integrated via friendship to these people, that I am willing to campaign against anyone I feel is too beholden to corporate interests. Money has a place. The market has a place. The very idea of commerce has a place in our society. I'm not for outlawing advertising. I'm not for saying we should get rid of corporations. I am not anti-capitalist, but I am against capitalist governance. Because the direction of the country should not be up to the highest bidder. It is a dangerous and dubious notion. And so, Justice Democrats. Now, you remember I said I came to the party for Bernie Sanders after having left it. I am staying in the party to ensure that the people who run it going forward, from the smallest elections here in Grandview, Missouri, all the way up to the office of president, anyone who is a candidate that I feel is in bed with the corporations, I am going to help your opponents. I'm not going to run for office. Lord knows I have way too many things that are definitely unoptical. But just like I gave money last year to Wolfpack, just like I have said over and over again how corporatists like Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are both bad for America, I am putting my effort and my time and these airwaves to the test. I am putting them in with the cause. So I'll tell you now, if you think that these elections belong to you, if you believe that America should be moved and governed by people who have the skill and talent to do so, if you feel like the guy who sits on $1 billion or more shouldn't have more ability to determine elections than the people who have to be governed by the laws that come up. Heck, if you just think there shouldn't be somebody in office who won't entertain the notion of changing their stance on something because they meet with you, if you just want somebody who might be more interested in your ideas on income taxes, Justice Democrats. Because I can tell you right now, for all of you conservatives listening, and I know that there are quite a few of you who I'm friends with or who otherwise listen to us, I'm telling you right now, you who are Republicans know your leadership. Now that Trump is in office, you are seeing it happen. They are bowing to him as he hands these positions out to corporate buddy after corporate buddy, to crony after crony. These are the things that you said you weren't up for, that you thought he was going to drain the swamp. Some of you even left the party to vote Libertarian for Gary Johnson because that's how mad you were at the direction of your camp. Help us. I believe that when we put conservative ideas and liberal ideas against progressive ideas like mine, that I think that both of you will lose out to me. And I'm not talking about my deeper governmental philosophy. I'm talking about just in the current state of America, the democracy we live in, that if you put a conservative, a liberal, and a progressive up against each other in a debate and the people get to watch, the people will pick the progressive. Because I don't believe that most of these liberals that are in the Democratic Party are actually progressive. And you don't either, because if you did, you would have voted for them. You don't either, because even though you are conservative in your mentality, you still believe that some things should be done for all the people. The way to fix that is Justice Democrats. And I'm not telling you to switch parties. I'm telling you that if you help, and that's by calling out these people who are beholden to corporate interests, if you push out the portions of your party who aren't real fiscal conservatives, who aren't with your same ideology about conservatism, that helps us do the same. And that we can root out this corruption that we've allowed to stay too long. Now, I've gone on for quite some time on this subject, so we're going to hit a break, and I'm going to go on to our next topic. But I want you to think about this. I want you to think about, no matter what your position is, because if you're a liberal and you're backing the Clintons right now, know that I'm coming for you. If you're a liberal and you're pumping us up on Facebook with Michelle Obama should be president in 2020, I'm coming for you too. If you're liberal and you back one of these corporate politicians who only gets in office because they take all their money from corporations, I'm coming for you. See, just as Democrats, we all signed a pledge that we will not support candidates who take money from corporations and who sit idly by as super PACs do things for them. We pledged to help candidates with personal donations, that we won't use our businesses for them. So, I have put myself squarely opposed to corporatist Democrats and corporatist Republicans. We're coming for you. Because we believe that the marketplace of ideas should be superior to the marketplace of dollars. Because we believe that a conservative's idea and a liberal's idea and a progressive's idea deserve an equal chance to go before the people and make the determination as to who is better. So if you're a Debbie Wasserman Schultz fan, we're coming for you. And we're not stopping. I'll be back for the next part of our live session. Actually, I won't be back for the next part of our live session. Live session's over. However, folks, thanks for watching us on YouTube. And of course, we're going to move on to the next part of the show, which is pre-taped ahead of time. And we will see you in just a moment. And we're back to the Wrath of Ruthless. So, we're out of that. We're done. We're done with Give No Quarter. Politics 7 out. I do want to give a quick shout out, of course, to my former co-host, Brittany, and of course, my other former co-host, Ronan, and Princess Debbie. She's around here doing stuff from time to time. But I did want to talk about, before we entirely got out of here for this week's show, the show format. Now, that particular last part of the live session there was rather long because I was getting into more of my personal philosophy there. The rest of this is going to be more filled with things like this. But the show length is going to change. You guys are used to, excuse me, like I said, still got that cold. You guys used to me going, 2 hours, sometimes 3 on the old show. We had a lot of stuff to cover. And when we have folks in, from time to time, we're going to hit some relationship stuff, because Lord knows you guys love the ruthless on relationship stuff. When time is right to do those kinds of things, we will have a longer show. And there's no getting around this, the show is going to go down to an hour. That's for a lot of reasons. One, I can't talk for too long, because Lord knows my throat dries up. Hearing myself chatter makes me a little annoyed and self-conscious, and I get a little paranoid. And they say it's bad to smoke cigars on air. So, especially drinking bourbon early in the morning. So, since we record things earlier or entirely separate during the week, there'll be less of the show going forward. Like I said, we're going to try and keep it to an hour or just past an hour. If we get particularly heated, we can go past an hour. But generally speaking, we're only going to be going for that 1 hour only. I know that kind of upsets some people. I know that they expect us to go a little bit longer. And those days will happen. One of the things that we're going to do, I want to bring some of our old guests back. I want to talk to them about some particular subjects. For you wrestling fans, we're going to get the guys from the Ringside Hangout, try and get them on and do a recording right around WrestleMania, maybe right before it, just to kind of talk about wrestling in the public sphere and where it's kind of gotten and where they might see it going. There's a really good friend of mine from the many groups I'm in on Facebook. I'm going to try and get her on and talk about some of the things that she's working on. The creator of this melanated tarot deck is a good friend of mine. She had a really successful Kickstarter. We're gonna try and get her on around the time that comes out. Um, Definitely gonna try and get my cousins on who provide us music, as well as my other big musician friend, Keith LaBelle. Don't forget to check out stuff on SoundCloud. Uh, and we're gonna try and get some random folks here and there that are pumping different stuff. I know you guys like Bobo, who does the videos with me. Oh, we will talk about the videos here in a second. I'll get to that and on my personal channel. But like I said, we're gonna try and get in guests. You did hear that we talked about the format going forward. It is going to stay like that. The Wrath of Ruthless as a show will comprise a main rant from Ruthless, a give no quarter section. We're talking about political news, and from time to time a words don't do it justice segment where we get more into the panel discussion. That's really what's going to be primarily pre-taped. It'll be very rare that we do a live of that, but from time to time we will have those live. In the end, there's a lot of stuff coming, and it's not all going to get done at once because I'm solo again. I'm liking it though. It's really enjoyable for me to be able to talk to you guys directly and to not have to throw and get that back and forth conversation going from time to time. It just helps me be able to stay in that stream of conscious. I'm not breaking up a thought to respond right back to whatever someone else is saying. And bringing in the guests from time to time keeps it fresh, keeps it moving. Now I want to get to that news I teased way back at the beginning here. Words don't do it justice. So, I've been talking to everybody's favorite Wednesday artist, Rain, as you know her, and she and I talked about doing some different things with Words Don't Do It Justice blog site. As it stands right now, it will be getting revamped. So you'll be able to see the YouTube stuff over there. That'll, of course, help it get in with things like Facebook integration, Twitter integration, all that stuff. But also, you may see from time to time articles from us. If there's something I feel like covering, but I don't feel like going through a whole bit talking about, it may go over there. If somebody's got a really pressing thing they want to cover, it may go over there. It has been just about a year. It'll be a year in June since things closed. And sometimes I get the urge to write. Sometimes I get the urge to type things up. So sometimes I'm going to put stuff over there. It's not a big thing. It's not a formal thing. If you're looking to put something up, that's not it either. But like I said, we're going to go through people. I'm going to try and hit up the DT folks and see if they'll come on and talk for a quick segment, talk about the shows and whatnot as well. But like I said, change is coming often, always. Always forward. Always forward. But knowing that you all have things to do and I have things to do, it's been a good hour, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. It's good to be back. We'll get into my trademark stuff a little bit more. I wanted to open up you guys with two long give no quarter segments. I was actually going to record this show that you're hearing. Okay, this show that you heard, it was recorded today, and that's February the 11th. But we were going to have a show last week and didn't for a lot of bad reasons. Basically, the internet wasn't working properly, and so we couldn't get the show done. But like I said, we're back. I think everything's fine. And we're going to stay with the format. Still, every week, still going to do the show. Like I said, we're going to try and keep it around an hour and 15 minutes. Nothing too long. I don't want to get too much going on in there. But we're going to bring folks in. We're going to talk to folks about different stuff. We're going to talk about Oscars here coming up soon as well. I've got a buddy of mine who, she does movie reviews, so we're going to get her on. I've got a good friend of mine who does some music stuff, and we're going to try and get her on to talk about her band that she sings for as well. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we got some stuff for you. Got some things planned, and you'll hear from some old favorites and some new friends as well along the way. I can't tell you everything because after all, words don't do it justice. See you guys next time. I am the Ruthless Wonder, not A Ruthless Wonder, and you've been listening to The Wrath of Ruthless. Accept no substitutes.